There's a moment when the movie was finished and I was moved to tears.
Are you ready for the crazy reactions that the film is gonna get? One, from the sandworm riding scene. Two, from the Coliseum scene with Faith Rotha. And three, with that amazing cameo in the middle of the film.
But the thing is, I'm really looking forward to see how the audience will react. I don't know how they will react. I don't know. I cannot predict that. But me, I will say that when I finish the movie, and as a director, you always feel that the nicest thing is to feel that the movie is alive, and that it has a soul, and it's sometimes there's something that it's going away from you, and so it's ready to be shared with the world. But I have no more control now. I will see.
You said that you had a passion project, that it was called Dune, and that you were unsure if you were gonna get the rights to an adaptation. And now we are here with this massive accomplishment. Well, how do you feel?
There's a moment when the movie was finished and I was moved to tears because I said, okay, it's finished. I finished the adaptation of Dune, and it was very moving for me. And it was moving to see that where I felt that the images I had done were close to my initial dream. And also it's very strange how to see that the movie evolved because of the process of adaptation and who I am today. It's different from, some part of it are different from my initial dream, another part are as good.
I think it's crazy that this is only your fourth film that deals with otherworldly themes, and other universes. In these four films, since you made Arrival, what have you learned of these otherworldly themes to put them in Dune?
But I think that I have always been attracted, interested, fascinated by science fiction, or I'm amazed by the exploration of space and the unknown, to be in a relationship with the unknown and what's out there. And I think that science fiction is beautiful to explore the poetry of that. And it's something that I started, you said, yes, it's true. I started more intimacy with Arrival. And then it get a bit bigger with Blade Runner, and now it's bigger with Dune. But it's like step by step. But I could not have done Dune first. I had to go more intimate, a little bit bigger, and it's just like, because what is difficult with those movies, it's the world building. It's long to do.
When you first read the novel and when you decided to work finally on this second half of the book, did you realize it was going to be this massive? Was it a conscious decision to have it be this big?
Man, listen, have you read the book yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, it's how big it is. I mean, I was aware that I would have not been able to do this when I was a young filmmaker. I needed to learn my craft to make sure that I knew that I would be ready technically to do that. I knew that by doing this, I will need to be ready to create something with that amount of scope, because that's what the book demands, the adaptation.
There's a scene in the film, which is when Paul finally speaks to the Fremen in that final powerful speech, and when he finally realizes he is Muad'Dib. So I wanted to ask you, I think that scene sums up perfectly what the central themes of the film and Herbert wanted to talk about, which is power and how people can change with power. So I wanted to ask you, why do you think it's important to approach or to talk about the many sides of power with a film like this?
Yeah, your question moves me, because you're right. It's that scene is at the center. It's one of the scene that sums some of the themes of Frank Herbert, and he wanted to do a warning against messianic figures. He wanted to make a warning about the danger of the blend of religious beliefs and politics. And that scene is exactly, yes, you're right. And I tried to be as faithful to this idea of Frank, that this fear he had. And I tried to bring that fear to the screen.
Paul's story and Johnny's story is one that comprises so many things, so many themes to talk about, and it could go in a very chaotic way, but you filmed it in such a beautiful and perfectly structured manner that when I was watching the film, it reminded me of a quote from Enemy, which is, "Chaos is order yet undeciphered." So when making Dune, did you often think about that quote? Because it could be chaotic too.
It's a good question. It's true that Paul tries to decipher his path,
Yes.
in his dreams, because I wanted Paul's vision, to be like real dreams. I wanted it would be boring to have a character that can predict the future. So, and so all the way through. So I tried to bring Paul's hypersensibility to spice to create a character that has very strong intuitions, and that his dreams are not clear. You need to decipher them. They are like enigmas. Like, yeah, that you can say rightly that chaos is an order yet undeciphered. It can apply to Paul's Atreides vision. Absolutely, yes.
Florence Pugh has said recently that she accepted to take on the role only because she was going to work with you and she was going to see you work on set. How do you feel about the impression you leave on the people that work with you on your films?
It's listen, that you have to ask them, but I feel that I feel privileged to make cinema. The thing I love about filmmaking is to work with other people, to create poetry with other people, to have the chance to share creativity with other people, and that's what I think is the most beautiful thing about cinema. It's the process of working together.
What was your favorite experience when working with this new cast of characters?
It's a good question, because I will say that there's a scene, without giving spoilers, there's a scene where many of them are there in the room, and I was very afraid of that scene because it will be I had so many characters to deal with, and I absolutely love how they were gracious, patient, all of them, generous of their presence and willing to just participate to the whole process of that huge scene that will require a lot of patience from everybody, and I felt we were a team at that time, and that I love.
There are many scenes in the film which are shot in a very particular format, which is the IMAX format. For those parts of the film where Paul and the ones who's around him accept his fate and his calling as, well, as a Messiah, do you think it's important to come back to these big formats when telling stories about people who can change through the course of their lives?
I think that the big screen is part of the language of cinema, because you don't direct things the same way if I direct it for IMAX screen or for your phone. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I'm just saying that it's a language in itself to use the big screen, and I shot both Dune movies as a directly, and just thinking about the theatrical experience, which I think is beautiful for us as human beings to have still access to communal experience where we share emotions together, and I think it's one of the beauty of cinema.